Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to Disney Sorcerers Arena. In this video, we're going to be talking about the raid. Ursula has come into the game. We have a raid, which is fantastic, and it has been quite a bit of fun. So we're just going to spend some time giving my first impressions of the raid in this game, comparing it to my experiences in other games. I got a few things that I've learned that I'm going to share in the video as well. So lots to discuss here, but first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel, you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. So just a couple quick reminders. All the links to my social media are in the description of every video, so definitely check that out. Join us on Discord, where we're talking about the game, sharing tips, tricks, and strategies. And then I do stream 2 to 3 days a week on Twitch. The link is in the description below as well. And if my schedule changes with my streaming, I will typically put an announcement out on the community tab on my channel. So definitely keep an eye out on that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this raid a little bit. First off, it is a boss battle raid, which is absolutely awesome. When you have those grid-based games, which is pretty much doing exactly what you're already doing in other game modes, it's not as exciting for me. I like raids, no matter what, but I really like the boss raids. And to see this raid here, where you have 4 different phases with Glut, with Flotsam and Jetsam, and then you have 2 phases with Ursula. I think that they paced it pretty well. One of the things you'll notice right off the bat, obviously, is there is a ton of debuffing going on, so you definitely need a cleanser in there. When you take a look at the team composition for this, obviously your tank, your healer, and the cleanser, and then you want some good damage dealers in there as well, right? So for tanks that have been working out really well, obviously Prince Eric, he was made for the raid. He's absolutely fantastic. I'll typically have him with Bubbles and Captain Gontu on a team with Ariel and Stitch. That's one of my teams that I use, and they've been doing pretty well. I've been able to score upwards over 100,000 on my first run through with that team, so it works pretty well. I also use a modified Frozen team that I've been using for quite some time, where you take the Frozen team, but you swap out Sven and Olaf, and you put in Hero and Hades. I do quite a bit of damage with that one. I get 100,000+ damage off that team as well. So that team works out pretty well for me. As far as healers in the game, obviously you're going to have Ariel. Dr. Facility actually does pretty well, especially once you get towards into phase 4, when you have Ursula and her tentacles, and you're taking out the tentacles and you're healing the team there. There's some longevity there. I typically use that team for that phase. And with the different phases that you have in this game, single target and multi-target, you want to have a good team for each one of those. You really don't want a huge AoE team when you're fighting the shark, when really it's just a single target, high damage team that you want for that. So I like the strategy there. I like the fact that you need multiple teams. One thing I'm not too keen on is you don't get Ursula tokens unless you get into heroic. Unless you're able to get through some of those milestones, which you're only getting a few Ursula tokens there. They're only giving out those Ursula tokens if you defeat heroic. So it really kind of, I mentioned this before in my pre-raid strategy, it really widens that gap between the free-to-play and the pay-to-play, or even a free-to-play player who has a lot more time to put into the game than your typical casual would. So I think there's some room for opportunity there. Also, every single boss has a mechanic where it's just an insta-kill. It doesn't matter. So when you go into this raid, expect to lose. You are not meant to last a long period of time. They have these insta-kill abilities that are just going to completely wipe you out, and you're just intended to use 4 different teams, or depending on how many different attempts that you have, based on the tier that you've started. We've cleared tier 3 times. We're going to go up into tier 4, I think, probably fairly soon if we keep on the track that we have been going. But you need, for each attempt, you need a separate team, because no team is going to make it through without getting wiped out. So that's why you really want to make sure you have a good base of teams here. I think the Oceanic team, I think the Frozen team, the Kingdom team, and the Little Mermaid team so far, which is really just 3. Those are all really good. You've got some substitute characters that you can throw in there that work out really well, like Dr. Facilier. Zorg works out really well. Hades, I think, works fantastic, especially on Ursula. And you pair him up with Kristoff for the automatic crits and things like that. It works out really, really well. So the way that they've put this raid together, you need to make sure that you have your tank, your healer, and your cleanser. Cleanse those debuffs as often as possible. Merlin works really well for cleansing. You've got Bubbles who works really well for cleansing. So you want to make sure that you have some really good teams together that will at least prolong, at least expand the amount of time that you're going to spend on each phase so you can get as much damage as possible done so you can go ahead and clear each one of those bosses. So that works out pretty well. Also know that you're going to die. It's built into the whole mechanic. You are going to die, but that's typically what raids are anyway. You don't go into a raid and it's not something that you're going to go in there and just expect to take out with one team. It's not meant for that. It's meant to help you build your roster, work through different teams, different team compositions. In this game specifically, they've kind of pre-built us into the different teams that we're going to be using for this. But I think the strategy that goes into it, some of the mechanics there, I think work out pretty well. So overall, I think they did a great job. For the first raid here in DSA, I think they've done a great job with it. I think that it's fun. And I think it may have injected some life into this game where it was starting to go stale a little bit. But this definitely has excited me for the game, excited me to jump into the raid and get into the raid as often as possible because the rewards, I think, are definitely pretty good as well. Again, I think Ursula tokens need to be more available outside of the heroic tier, but the rewards that you get there for progression, I think, are very, very good. I think the milestone rewards, I think those can be upgraded a little bit, throw some more Ursula tokens in there or something like that. You don't need to give Ursula out for free, but you don't need it to be isolated to the top 1% of clubs that are in the game. You can expand that out a little bit, I think. But it gives everybody something to work for. It gives everybody something to continue to build their roster for and just have fun with it. And I think that they've achieved that. And again, I think it's a breath of fresh air into this game. All right, I think I'm rambling on enough about this. So those are my thoughts on the game compared to other raids that I've been in. This has been compared to the Rancor raid in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes quite a bit. We've talked about the different raids for Marvel Strike Force. That's those grid-based raids right there, which is really the same thing that you're doing already in the game. I like the boss battles. I think they did pretty well with this. And for those of you who are brand new to raids, I think this is a good raid to cut your teeth on. I think this is a good raid to be your first raid. There you go, everybody. There is my 2 cents on this raid. I'd really be interested in your thoughts on this. What other tips and tricks do you have for this? I will be coming out with a full tips and tricks guide, an official type guide for this. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the raid, my thoughts on it, and get everybody's opinion on it as well. What's worked best for you, and what tier have you cleared? Have you cleared Heroic yet? If so, awesome. Congratulations on that, because you're on your way to getting Ursula. All right, everybody, that is what I had for you today. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.